Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to this next episode of the Max Vasconcelos Show. So it's been a couple weeks. I appreciate y'all's patience. We both got sick over here at the house, so we were fighting that like crazy. Most of it was congestion, so I'm pretty sure you guys don't want to hear me hacking and coughing and all that stuff the entire time during the video. So anyways, took a couple weeks to get over that, and there's just been so much happening. I've been wanting to record and talk about some things, and it just sucks. I just couldn't do it. And yeah, now we're back, and we got a ton of things to cover in this video, so I'm going to try and be as quick as possible, but also we're going to have fun with it, as we always do. So first thing I'm going to talk about is the thing that just happened today, March 6th, as the recording of this video a few hours ago, is that Ghost of Tsushima finally is coming to PC. I don't know what the heck took this game so long to come to PC. It's been forever since it came out on PlayStation 4 back in the day, and it's even come out with the director's cut on PS5. So I'm just finally glad to see it, because this is one of my, I would say it's my top 10 favorite game for sure of all time, but it's pretty close to my top 5 favorite game of all time. And the fact that it's coming out on PC is just awesome, because we get the uncapped frame rates that they've talked about. We get all the upscaling support if you need some help, like from DLSS, DLAA, or FSR3. And in general, it's just going to be awesome to play the game at such a high resolution and be able to uncap the frames. I'm really looking forward to that. And then it's really not an egregious price. I get it. We're paying $60 for a game that's been out for, 4 or 5 years now? I don't know. It came out a long time ago at this point. But for PC players, a lot of us, this is going to be a new experience. Well, not for me. I've beaten the game twice. But yeah, it's just a fantastic game. It's coming out on May 16th, which is really soon. Again, I've said it multiple times, but I was super excited about it. And the good thing is that they have full DualSense support for this game coming out on PC, which if you haven't played, or if you're a PC player and haven't used a DualSense controller, I'm telling you, it's really awesome, especially with the technologies they built into it, and the fact that you can do all the same stuff that you can do on PlayStation on Ghost of Tsushima with the triggers, the adaptive triggers and everything like that. It makes the game completely different. So I'm excited to actually buy a PlayStation controller again and be able to play this game on it. But yeah, so Ghost of Tsushima finally coming to PC. Super excited. I can't wait. I can't talk enough about it. And when the game eventually comes out, I do want to do a full review of my thoughts on it. I don't want to spoil it, because a few people I know haven't played the game, so I'm looking forward to them actually trying it. But anyways, that's the most recent news today. Warner Brothers Discovery is in the headlines once again for all the wrong reasons. I mean, they can't get their comic book movies right, so why not just not get their video games right, correct? Anyway, so the thing that was in the headlines was that Hogwarts Legacy was one of the most successful games in recent memory for the company, especially in light of how badly Suicide Squad did. And during a recent Morgan and Stanley event, I got this from GameSpot. I'm going to be reading the article here a little bit. Peretti shared the company's strategies going forward, and he explained that the company wants to pivot away from volatile AAA console games in favor of its biggest achievers. And you would think, okay, cool, we're focusing on Hogwarts Legacy, right? That's their biggest achiever. No, he believes that live service games and free-to-play games are the way to go. So they're doubling down their efforts on live service and free-to-play games. I'm going to continue on here. Quote, rather than just launching a one-and-done console game, how do we develop a game around, for example, Hogwarts Legacy or Harry Potter, that is a live service where people can live and work and build and play in the world in an ongoing basis? So basically what he's saying is that he wishes that instead of the studio focus on making this a actual story-based game, he wishes that the company or the developers would have focused on making this a live service game. And he mentioned some other stuff in here. I'm not going to go into every single little detail of the article, but they talked about Suicide Squad and, how they actually like how Suicide Squad is, and the developers of Suicide Squad, they are doubling down on trying to make live service work in there very well. It's just baffling to me that I don't understand why they can't read the room. All right, look, there's nothing wrong with making a great one and done game, as they call it. I mean, what's wrong with that? There's plenty of companies, plenty of studios and developers that make single player experiences or co-op experiences, whatever you want to do, and they're wildly successful, and you can create DLCs and expansions or whatever. You can go crazy with it. You don't have to make everything live service. And this to me is all the signs of management or upper management that is completely tone deaf and only focused on the things that don't matter to gamers. Like, yes, live service games, if they're done right, are pretty fun. I mean, you know, for example, there were moments where Destiny was fun. You know, it's not as fun in recent days, but it was fun and it's considered a live service type game. And you got things like World of Warcraft. Yes, it's an MMO, you know, and it does have live service elements. And then you got new games like Helldivers 2 that do it pretty well, in my opinion, where they don't have some egregious practices with live service. So there are plenty of examples out there of games that do live service pretty good. I mean, it's not the end of the world. But then there are games like Suicide Squad that should never be a live service game. Why is it needed? They were so successful with these games as a solo experience or a co-op experience that they didn't need to push the envelope and make it a thing where you have to always be adding more content in a live service type environment. I don't get it. And the fact that he's using Hogwarts Legacy as the next example, right? He was not, it's like you figured they'd be thrilled that, okay, well, we had a win last year. Hogwarts Legacy was actually very well received. We sold a ton of copies. Great, let's make more of that. No, the CEO is like, that didn't earn enough money residually. They want more money coming in frequently from these products rather than just making good games. And I get it. They're companies, they're studios that are supposed to focus on the bottom line, make money. They can't make games without making money. But I don't know, it just this thing just rubbed me the wrong way from the standpoint of, this is why people have such a hard time investing into games these days, because it's people like this, when they say stuff like this, that make you really want to like rip your hair out, because you're like, do you even really understand or care about what gamers actually want? Like, I get it from a structure standpoint. You have to have people at the top that understand financials. They need to make money on these games and they need to figure out how to do it. But you also have to have people that understand the gaming culture and understand that, okay, gamers like live service games. Use Helldivers 2 as an example. I think they've got a great live service model. Use them as an example going forward. Don't sit here and double down on the things nobody cares about. Like free-to-play games, like mobile games more specifically is what he's talking about, because they want to load it up with things that you have to buy to do whatever in the mobile games these days. I mean, there's so many like egregious things in that game that make you spend money because they're not technically free. You have to do all this crap. Same thing with like live service games like freaking Suicide Squad that was absolutely terrible. I don't know. I mean, like, it's funny. Like I said in the opening part of this segment, they can't get anything right at Warner Brothers right now. I'm a huge DC fanboy in the sense that I love Batman. I love the DC superheroes. I like them way more than Marvel. But all the properties suck, from the video games now to the movies genre. Everything sucks. And it's because they have people like this at the top that think, oh, you know, gamers like to buy stuff, right? Let's just, you know, why didn't we actually add more stuff people could buy in Hogwarts Legacy? Why didn't we make it a live service game? Why didn't we, you know, go that route? That makes no sense. I mean, we made a lot of money, sure, but we can do even better next time. So the next Harry Potter, Hogwarts Legacy, or whatever the freak they make is going to be live service, I bet. They're probably going to push them to do that. I don't know. It just irritates me because, like, it's like, come on, Warner Brothers. You guys are historic. You have so many historic properties in your grasp, and you're going to screw it all up. And I don't know, I just really want these things to go away from Warner Brothers and Discovery and just go to somebody else, because it's just getting worse and worse, and I don't understand. It just pisses me off. Okay, let's jump into the gaming news section of this video. And we're just gonna go over a bunch of gaming news things that happened while I was gone, and things that I've wanted to talk about, or things that just happened that I wanna talk about. And the first thing I wanna talk about is I did do a reaction to the Elden Ring trailer. If you didn't see that, it's on the channel, you can go watch it. But I wanted to get my thoughts on it in this episode because I didn't really get to talk about it enough, in my opinion, in the little reaction I did. But I'm just grateful that there's just more Elden Ring, and that's that's what everybody's wanted. Is when the game came out 2 years ago, nobody could get enough of Elden Ring, and we just wanted a little bit more because there's just the world is so awesome and expansive. But the thing is that for us people who have beaten the game, which I'm very close, you just can't get enough of it. You want more bosses, more weapons, and all those different things. And the cool thing is that we got confirmation that the map size is going to be similar to the area of Limgrave, which is the southern half of the world. So you'll see that on the map. It's going to be massive. I'm really excited because I was worried that it was just going to be maybe dungeons added to the zone, and then they weren't going to add anything new. But I'm grateful they're actually adding a full brand new zone, which is going to be awesome. And just in general, I'm just glad that they're going all out with this. They're making it a full expansion, not just adding some stuff. They're really like making this, like expanding the universe. And I'm really excited. They're adding new armor sets, adding new weapons, they're adding new abilities, new bosses. And I did see in there that it potentially looked like there was going to be a new mount, but again, that could have been just one of the bosses riding something. But I would love a new mount, and I hope that's actually something that would happen. And I'm wondering, the biggest question I have is this going to be the only DLC before they come out with a second version of this game? And are they even going to come out with an Elden Ring 2? They haven't really kind of talked about that. And I guess for good reason, because they want you to focus on Elden Ring and not something else. But again, you know, I can't get enough of it. But the DLC, more or less, releases on June 20th, and I'm really excited for it. All right, so the next game that just got announced recently, but apparently it's been in beta or somebody's played it and people have known about it forever, but I didn't know about it, is there's going to be a Dune Awakening game coming out very soon. Not very soon, actually. They said it's going to come out eventually, but it feels like it's going to be within the next year or two. This is actually something I didn't expect because I liked the movie Dune. It was pretty good. It wasn't like my favorite movie I've ever seen, but I thought it was pretty good. I've heard the books are very good. But the game looks pretty promising, honestly. It's a PvE, PvP base building game. It's like an open world game. I don't know, like there's apparently a big online component to it and whatnot. You're going to be able to do things like trade things with players and things. So I'm not sure if it's going to be classified as an MMO or if it's just going to be a open world RPG with people or what. But I can't really grasp around what it's actually going to be. But the cool thing is that the visuals of the game look incredible. The sand dunes look awesome. The worms look really menacing. All the buildings and things you can build look really expansive and in depth. So it's actually really cool. And then what else here? So the blueprints that you can build, like if you build a building, for example, they can actually be sold to other players, which I think is cool. So there's going to be some sort of like auction house type vibe to it. So that's going to be actually pretty cool. And then weapon crafting and vehicle crafting is going to be pretty in depth. So you're going to be able to craft all these different types of vehicles and weapons and things of that nature. And I bet you're going to be able to trade those as well to other people and various things. And what else? There's going to be a skill tree, different abilities, and things of that nature. So you're going to be able to customize your character a bit from the beginning. And apparently you don't have to stick with that particular character. You can go a different direction if you decide. So that's going to be interesting. And the game overall seems to give you just a good amount of freedom to kind of do whatever you want, which, again, I was thinking this was going to be more of a structured thing. And apparently there is going to be a story that you follow and you can make decisions on where you want to go and various things like that. But I don't know. It's kind of drawing the line. I'm trying to figure out if this is supposed to be an MMO, open world, RPG. It seems like a mix of everything. We'll figure it out. And it's going to be running on Unreal Engine 5, which is pretty exciting. I know that that's fairly new and it still has some issues. It's not running extremely well on some hardware, but it's cool to see that they're doing that. And again, there's no release window. They're still working on that. The developer has said that they're willing to take as much time as possible to make this game work really well, but that also kind of scares me because we've heard that before and games come out like crap. So I don't know. We'll see how that works. But yeah, the game looks decent from the trailer. And all the little things I've seen about it, I've heard other people talk about it. It seems like it's going to be decent, but I'm not sure. I'm 50-50 right now. I want to actually try beta because they seem to be willing to release a lot of betas for it. So I want to try beta and see how the game plays, but we'll see how that plays. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, but who knows? Okay, so I didn't get to talk about this disaster, and that is Skull and Bones. What a disaster that game was, apparently. Not only is it overpriced, it just is trying to be a game that it can't be, which is Assassin's Creed Black Flag. If you are an Assassin's Creed fan or you played it back in the day, my cat's walking in the background. This is Winchester. He acts like a pirate sometimes. Anyways, if you played Assassin's Creed Black Flag, you remember how awesome that game was. I didn't play the whole game. I didn't beat it, but I remember being into it at the time. It was actually a pretty fun game. It was the first time I played an Assassin's Creed since the first one that I actually was enjoying it. I just never beat it, but now looking back at some content for it after Skull and Bones came out, I kind of want to play it now. But anyway, so that's basically what this is. It's supposed to be the spiritual successor to Assassin's Creed Black Flag, the first quadruple A game, the whole bells and whistles. Ubisoft overhyped this game like crazy. And I don't know, it just sucks from what I've seen. You can't get out of the boat. Everything is done in the boat. You're resource farming in the boat. You're cutting down trees. You're doing everything in the boat. It kind of sucks. Like with Assassin's Creed, at least you're able to get out of the boat, explore, do a wide variety of things. It was way ahead of its time. It was an awesome game concept. But this one just is literally focused on the naval side of the thing, which for some people that's cool. But when you got a game like Sea of Thieves that is doing both very well currently, it's kind of underwhelming to only be able to do just the boat stuff. And then the boat stuff is really not that great because at least in Sea of Thieves, you have to crew or manage the entire thing, meaning you have to turn the sails, you got to operate the cannons, load the cannons, whatever. Like it requires more than just turning left, turning right, shooting, which is exactly what Skull and Bones is. I don't know what they were trying to do with this game. It's just a cheap throwaway game, in my opinion, that everybody's going to forget about here in a few years, except for the only thing that people will remember is the colossal fail it was, in my opinion, because it's not doing well. Nobody's playing it. It's overpriced like crazy, and it's just going to be dead extremely fast. So about 2 weeks ago, a little game came out called Helldivers 2, and it's a small indie game. Not a lot of people are playing it, but I thought it was kind of fun, It was one of those games that, it's cool to play on like the cell phone or something, but no, I'm joking. This is the most popular game right now out in 2024 so far. It's absolutely crushing every metric on the planet. Everybody's loving it. The sales numbers are actually not declining like a lot of people thought. They're only increasing or stabilizing, which is absolutely insane. So kudos to the developer. It's a small team of 100 people. They had an idea based on the success or the ideas they had in the first game. They brought it over to Helldivers 2, and they're being rewarded with their efforts because they're putting a lot of work in, and it shows. They're actually doing a great job. But anyways, yes, I'm coming out with a full review and overview of Helldivers. It's either going to be out prior to this video or shortly after, but you'll be able to see it pop up on the channel. But anyways, I wanted to kind of go over some of my initial thoughts in this episode because there are some things I didn't talk about in that video that I do want to talk about here. So the Metacritic score for the game is an 83 or 8.5, which is pretty solid. It's not anything crazy, but it's actually pretty solid. And the game has overall just sold millions of copies so far, which has far exceeded the developers' expectations, which has made them have to adjust their roadmap because they had a slow trickle out of content coming, but now they're having to accelerate a lot of that content because the game is so popular and they don't want to lose that momentum, which they have no signs of slowing down at this point. The numbers are only going up, which is pretty crazy. And I think one of the biggest things that attributes to this is that they don't have an egregious approach to live service. First of all, the game is only $40, which is absolutely fantastic. And second of all, when you go into the game and there are things to buy, you don't technically need to use your own money to buy them. All the currency that is used to purchase things from the shop or things from even the purchasable season pass, you can earn all of that in game. Example, I played for about 12 hours, 14 hours, and I was able to buy the 1,000 super credit season pass thing, which was great. I didn't have to spend a single dollar, so that was awesome. And then you can do the same thing with anything else. You just keep earning super credits from in-game, or you can get them from the other season pass stuff and whatnot. So they don't have an egregious approach to that. And then in general, the gameplay loop is fairly fun, especially with friends. So that's why a lot of people are enjoying it so much. There are some technical issues which are pretty frustrating, such as getting kicked from servers or, having issues staying in game sometimes. It's just a wide variety of technical issues plus some glitches. They did come out with a patch today I kind of wanted to talk about just briefly. That did fix some of the problems with like some weapon balancing and things of that nature. For example, they nerfed the railgun, the breaker shotgun, and the energy shield things. Those were dominating the meta. They're not super nerfs, but at the same time, they bring them down a bit, which again, I don't necessarily fully agree with. I'm not saying that I wanted these things to dominate the game, but at the same time, I want them still to be viable. I think that everything should be lifted up to around their level, so that way you can have different options. As well as they listed a bunch of other ones. I'm going to have that scrolling on the screen, but they fixed the armor rating, so now they actually work properly. So instead of light armor, medium armor, and heavy armor counting for the same armor value, you can actually see a difference, which is going to be great. So I'm actually looking forward to trying some heavy armor. And they also added this in, which was pretty cool, and I want to talk about this, is they added more planetary hazards, which can be things like fire tornadoes and meteor showers and various things like that, which I think is cool. It's just adding another dynamic to the game, as well as they've already announced that mechs are coming to the game for you to be able to ride around in and shoot bugs and the automatons and whatnot, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, they're patching the game fast. And just a couple other side notes I want to talk about in this is that they're sitting at about 400,000 concurrent players at any given time on Steam, which is pretty freaking nuts. I just can't believe that. That's not as big as Pal World, which is still hard to believe Pal World got that big. But again, it's still a lot. And in general, I'll talk about it in the review or the overview that I have of the game. So definitely go watch that after you watch this. But the game is pretty good. I don't love it, but I like it a lot. I have some issues with it, and I hope that they iron out some of those over time. But in general, I think the game is in a good spot, and they're only going to get better because it seems like the developers are really eager to have this game succeed. So more kudos to them. I just kind of wanted to go over some of my initial thoughts in this little intro video. But again, check out my review or overview because I go over a lot of stuff in there. Something else I just got announced recently is the classic Star Wars Battlefront games are coming back, which is awesome. We're all super excited. It's not a remaster or anything like that. It's just more of a facelift and bringing it to the modern world. So you're going to be able to play classic Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2. They're going to be in the same game, so you can kind of switch between both, I imagine. I don't know exactly how it's going to work. But this officially was the #2 most pre-ordered game on the PlayStation 5, beating things like the new Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree expansion, which is pretty nuts. I cannot believe that this game is this widely sought after, because they've had the older ones on, Steam and other platforms for quite a while now. I mean, you can buy them for like $2, but I mean, at the same time, it's kind of cool to have those. The best thing about this is that, yes, the resolution is upped and whatnot, but initially I thought that they were not going to have online play. From the rumors and stuff I saw about it, I didn't see it, but yeah, it's going to have full online support. So you're going to be able to play with a bunch of different people online, which is great, just like the old days, because I played this game on classic Xbox, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It was actually really fun. But anyways, so they're going to have that. But the problem with that is that it's only going to be cross-generation. It's not going to be cross-platform. So meaning, if you're on PC, you can't play with Xbox or PlayStation owners. You can only play with PC people, or same thing with PlayStation. You can only play with PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 people. So that really sucks. I don't know why that decision was made, because I feel like that's going to dilute the game as a whole over time. Because what's going to happen is, naturally, the game's going to kind of die off. And let's say on PC, which has been the case sometimes, people are playing other things, and then the community is so small, you can't really get full lobbies and things like that. That's going to suck. Whereas if it was cross-platform, everybody would be able to help contribute to making the servers full. So I don't know what their reasoning for that was, but that kind of sucks. But at least it's online, and you can play with other people, which is cool. And then the cool thing is that they are adding something that I didn't know about, because I played Star Wars Battlefront 2 a lot back in the day. I still even have it in the closet there. I still have the original game that I used to have. And basically, there was an expansion that was for Xbox Live users only. And this added 2 new characters and some new maps and things like that. That's all coming back in this classic collection, which I'm really excited about because I never played it, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, the biggest draw of this is going to be Galactic Conquest. Everybody loved Galactic Conquest back in the day. I loved it. I thought it was great. I spent hours just playing against the AI or online with other people. It was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to that. But anyways, my overall thoughts, just to kind of summarize it, are that I'm grateful this is back. I mean, it's better to have things like that, like this, than not have them. But I wish it would have been a remaster, because I don't know, the graphics feel a little bit dated, which is kind of the charm of it, I guess. But I just wanted a remaster of these, because that would have been cool, just to get like a little bit more of a facelift, more than just slightly upping the resolution, I guess. But we'll see if they do any more. But again, it seems like that they're just doing this to kind of tide us over to whatever they decide to do next. But I don't know. That's just kind of my thoughts on it. All right, so as we know, we're kind of getting into the later half of these generation of consoles, especially with the Switch. We've had the Switch for forever now, like 8 years. So, I mean, it's about time we get a Switch too. Well, we finally are starting to get some news on some new consoles or new upgrades coming in the horizon. For example, there's going to be a PS5 Pro potentially this fall into Q1 of next year. I think it's probably going to be this fall because they want to hit that holiday crowd. But I mean, it's kind of interesting that they came up with the Slim to replace the original model. And the fact that they're going to come out with the PS5 Pro, I don't know. I'm curious to see what this is going to do and how much technology they're going to be able to push with this. Because on the flip side, Xbox seems like they're going to announce some sort of big hardware refresh this fall. They already talked about that in the Xbox podcast, the one that everybody overhyped like crazy, which I talked about on the channel. That was the biggest joke ever. But anyway, one of the things I did mention is that they are going to be coming out with hardware, brand new hardware. Now, this could be just a mid-gen refresh, kind of like what PlayStation is doing. There's rumors that they're going to make the Xbox Series X all digital. I don't know if that's possible. Or what the other rumor is that they're going to just come out with the next generation of consoles altogether, meaning they're going to go ahead and make the leap. So I don't know. I mean, like, it's curious to see what Xbox is going to do. But then also, we're looking at potentially getting the Switch to either this holiday season, which again, I think is going to be more the holiday season, into Q1 of next year. But that still has not been announced, but it's bound to come this year because they're well overdue for a new console. And I'm super excited to actually get a Switch too, because we have a Switch here at the house. We don't play that much, but it feels so dated. I can't stand it. And hopefully they make just a small leap into some modern day hardware. But again, it's Nintendo. They're known for being behind the eight ball. But anyway, that's exciting because we're not getting anything new in the PC world outside of some new CPUs potentially. But again, it seems like it's going to be a light year for PC because no GPUs this year. They're coming out next year. And then, we're getting some other minor upgrades, but I don't know. We're going to see. I think that we're going to see a lot of competition this fall for your money with these new consoles and things coming out. I probably will consider getting a PS5 Pro, but I'm definitely, if they announce a Switch 2, going to get a Switch 2. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about all of it. But the thing is that it would be interesting if Xbox decides to actually just fully go into the next generation of consoles for them and just completely bypass doing a mid-gen refresh, because they've never done that before. They've always done the console, then mid-gen refresh with every console they've released in recent memory, from the 360 all the way up till now. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do. But yeah, some new consoles on the horizon. We'll see what they actually announce, but we're probably not going to hear anything until the summertime. So that's just the latest rumors on that. Okay, so I finally did it. I finally completed Diablo Season 3. And it's not the first time I've gotten to level 100 with a character, and it's not the first time I completed a season, but it was fun to do, and this was a couple of weeks ago now. But I wanted to get my thoughts on it because I know that Diablo 4 is in a bit of a weird spot with the community. A lot of people either hate it because they're Path of Exile fans or just these hardcore ARPG fans. And for me, I'm not. I'm a casual enjoyer of this genre, so I enjoy for what it is. I go in for a season, do what I want, and then leave. I'm not like sitting here trying to commit my life to Diablo 4 or Path of Exile or Last Epoch or whatever the flavor of the month is. So for me, it was actually enjoyable. I actually had a good time, and I want to give some of my thoughts on some of the things I really enjoyed and some of the things I did not like. So I enjoyed the vaults. That was surprisingly more fun than I thought it was going to be, because I did not like the nightmare dungeon grind of the previous seasons where it's like get to 50 and then grind nightmare dungeons so you're blue in the face. It got boring after a while because they're all the same. You go through the mobs, you fight a boss, and you upgrade your stuff, move on. So this season was actually nice because the vaults added some variety to it, because each of the vaults are kind of different. And then the nightmare dungeons got a little bit of a tweak. But the cool thing about it was that I could alternate. I could do a couple of vaults and I could do a nightmare dungeon, and never felt like I got too much of either, because the vaults, you just basically fought waves of mobs. Like you went through the dungeon and then you got to the end and there was like this final mob wave, and then after that you collect your stuff and go. And then the nightmare dungeons were the same thing. Kill stuff, go to the final boss and kill him. So it was nice to have that breakup. I did enjoy that. I didn't say this in the beginning, but I mainly played a Necromancer, and I enjoyed the changes they made to Necromancer, and I'm excited to see what changes they make in the future, because they made some more adjustments in the mid-season refresh, it looks like here, with releasing the gauntlets and stuff like that, which I'm not going to be participating in because I'm not a competitive person in the genre. But I did enjoy the Necro. I had a blast. The Necromancer, I had a blast. I played primarily a pure summoner, Necromancer this season because they actually made it viable, meaning they're not going to die every 5 seconds, which is nice. The one thing is they don't hit hard enough, which was annoying. So that sucked. But at the same time, I had a good time. It was fun actually being able to play a pure summoner for the entire season as opposed to having to do the meta Bone Spear build. I mean, that was nice. I really actually enjoyed that. The pet you get, which is like a little robot thing, was okay. It wasn't the best thing in the world. For some of the other classes, I felt like it would have worked a little bit better, especially the resource generation. But what I used the pet for primarily was gathering mobs. So basically, instead of using the corpse tendrils, I had the little bot thing use multiple things to be able to draw enemies in and pull them in and make them vulnerable and stuff. And I thought that was pretty useful. That was cool. But I know a lot of other characters were using it for the resource generation because it was incredible for that this season, which was awesome. So that was great. But again, it was okay for me. The leveling process overall was really efficient this season. They really dialed it in. And then when they added in the shrines that'll give you 50% more XP and these could stack, my goodness, it flew through the roof. I really enjoyed that. I like it when the game doesn't punish you or make you feel like you're having to do this as a second job. You know what I mean? It was nice being able to level through the game pretty quickly. And I was able to get my character from 1 to 100 in about 40 to 45 hours, which was great. And that's kind of me going at a snail's pace, just taking my time playing the game and doing things in between. But yeah, I was able to complete one of my big objectives, which was to beat level 100 Duriel. I ended up beating him at 98, which I was super proud of with my pure summoner build. That was super weak and I barely beat him, but that was fun. I was glad to do that. And my only complaint was that I just did not crave to play anymore. I know that that's kind of contradicts what I said before because I'm more of a casual player, but I would have enjoyed being able to like say, I want to jump in with my next character, like a sorcerer or something like that. But I haven't like felt the itch to do it. And I feel like that there's just too many other things to play. And I kind of keep cycling back to that. But in general, I would give this season a 8 out of 10. It was not as good as the last season, the Season of Blood. I felt like that was more of a 9 out of 10. I felt like the blood powers were much cooler, and I'm glad they brought some of those back with this most recent patch, which is great. I'm glad that they're bringing those back. I think that a lot of the blood powers are cool, especially the one where you turn into mist and fly around. I thought that was awesome. And in general, it was good. It wasn't great. I liked the story. It was okay. Again, visually, the game looked awesome. And I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the next season. And I'm definitely looking forward to the expansion next year. It just sucks that they're taking so much money from us, it feels like. But I think I have enough points to actually get the next season for free, which is awesome. Super happy about that. But anyways, that's my brief overview of Diablo Season 4 or Season 3. Good, not great. Liked it. Had a good time. Looking forward to doing the Necromancer again for the Season 4. So this was about a month ago, and I know I'm a little bit behind the curve here, but there was a new gaming handheld announced. It is from one of my favorite companies, actually probably my favorite hardware company manufacturer for PC is MSI. They're coming out with their first gaming handheld, which is no surprise. I mean, everybody seems like they're trying to get in the market now. But this one does have some unique qualities that I really actually pretty excited about. Not only is this a 7-inch screen with a 1080p display up to 120 hertz, which is pretty awesome. This is the first gaming handheld to use the Intel, I don't want to get it wrong, the Intel XES technology. So basically it's going to have an Intel integrated graphics chip, and it's actually really interesting. I was not expecting that. I was expecting them to do the same route, go AMD APU like all the other gaming handheld manufacturers did, but this is the first one that's actually using the Intel chip. And one of the first things I thought of when I actually saw this was, this is where Intel needs to be. Intel for the longest time was dominating the laptop market, meaning that everything had Intel integrated graphics, which was great. Only in recent memory did they start actually doing NVIDIA graphics or NVIDIA dedicated graphics in some of these laptops, some of these gaming laptops more specifically. But still, even to this day, Intel has really dominated this market of laptops. So it made sense that they would have a chip designed for a gaming handheld. And I'm glad that MSI is actually the first one to try that, because I think it's pretty cool and it makes sense. I was actually wondering why Intel was not in the game with this, and apparently they're getting in. So it makes me wonder if any of the future iterations of some of these second generations of some of these gaming handhelds are going to actually input Intel, or if they're going to stick with AMD. It's actually going to be pretty interesting. But some other things to talk about is that it has a 53 watt battery, which from what I understand is the biggest battery so far. I'm not sure if the Legion Go has the bigger battery, but I'm pretty sure that this is the biggest one. I didn't actually look at that, but it's definitely bigger than the Steam Deck. They're using Gen 4 M.2, which is pretty self-explanatory. They're also doing DDR5, which is great. I'm actually glad for that on the RAM side. The thing weighs about 675 grams, which is kind of in the middle, I believe. I think it's not quite as light as a Steam Deck, but it's still not as heavy as a Legion Go, which is great. It's using the Windows operating system like the other ones. The only one to use differently, which is Linux, is the Steam Deck. So that's no surprise there. So Windows 11. The price is going to start at $699 and go up to $799. And this is pretty much the going rate for these at this point. I think the Steam Deck came out, the first one came out, it was $699 was the highest one, and then it went down to $399. So I don't think we're going to see that again. They're going to be mostly in this range, so this is kind of commonplace for these. So I don't think it's egregious. And then it claimed, the thing that on the site, and this is directly from the site, is that they claim to play AAA games extremely well. And I know that seems pretty broad, but that was the thing they talked about, is that you're going to be able to play AAA games pretty fluidly on this thing. And that's pretty cool, I guess. So far to date, the Asus and the Legion Go do play them pretty well. I wouldn't say it's great, but they play them pretty well. If you were to add the external graphics onto the Asus ROG Ally, you can actually get a full-on, amazing high frame rate gaming experience. But to this point, the AAA games have ran okay on most of them. For the Steam Deck, it's been a little bit behind, but again, that's just kind of subjective. So I don't know. We'll see how this does, but they're saying it runs great, so we'll see how that does. But yeah, I'm just excited. So again, I'm a big MSI fan. You can call me a fanboy, but I do like their products. I think they make great products. My motherboard is an MSI motherboard, and I way overpaid for it. And yeah, it's one of those things where I was wondering when they were going to get into it, and then I'm wondering which other companies are going to get into the handheld space, because it's just starting to explode and we're starting to get more and more varieties. And I'm curious to see which ones are going to take advantage of these Intel chips, because I really do feel like that if anybody can make a really powerful integrated graphics chip, it's Intel, because they've done it before on laptops, and I felt like that it was weird that they hadn't gotten into the space yet. So I'm curious to see if the next generation of the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, or the Legion Go, if they're going to implement these chips, or if they're going to stay with AMD. So anyways, that's my initial thoughts on that. There's nothing really to say on it. There's no release date. There was some videos on it, but not really a ton of testing. But I imagine here over the next couple of months, we'll see some review samples go out, and we'll be able to see some people test them out. But yeah, I'm excited to see how they actually do with AAA gaming, because if this thing can run AAA games pretty well, I might be tempted to buy it when it comes out. I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, well, that's it for this episode of the Max Vasconcelos Show. Let me know what you think down in the comments. There's tons of things you talked about in here. Are some of the games that I talked about at the top of the video things you're excited for? Are you excited for Ghost of Tsushima? More importantly, I mean, I cannot wait for this game to come out in May. It's going to be so freaking exciting. But anyways, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And as always, make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. And anyways, I'll catch you in the next episode. We got plenty of videos coming out, as well as we got an interview coming up very soon that I'm very excited for. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.